They'll blanket you in Wi-Fi and profit off the radiation. Congregation collecting the people for that Satan. I keeps it blazing, cause I can read between the lines. I ain't blind, we unwind what they're really saying. Genetically modify what you're tasting. Don't need that cottage promise, so now you live up in your mom's basement. Redesign time so your mind is always wasted. Program to crave the basics. Keep the beta in stasis. Pay the state, kid. You're in debt for being born. Messengers are more than just the price for being warned. Don't be alarmed. Disconnect from their machinations. Stop subscribing to the folly of own nations. Bone breaking ain't the answer, cause they seek the ownership of souls. Spread the seeds and watch them grow. Break the chains of control. Break the chains of control.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Rogueways is very lucky tonight to have with us yet again an especially gifted human connected to messages of source and love, who has developed a skill of translating those messages into ways that we can understand and utilize to transmute our elements into their most crystallized versions by processing and releasing past life and ancestral trauma through her beautiful gifts of deep empathy and powerful love. Emily Atwood, thank you so much for bringing your gifts back to share again with all the rogue warriors out there. And how are you tonight?
I am okay. How are you?
I'm pretty okay too. We were just both like feeling flustered on time today, which is really interesting that that's the topic that we chose.
Yes,
you know?
For sure. And I definitely had like all the stuff that was coming up for me today, time related. I was feeling them all today.
Yes. Well, and it's interesting, and I guess we'll get into it more in the show, but time and time travel has been a theme of mine and on Rogueways and on Middle Path recently, so it's very interesting that you actually texted me this morning. We're like, how about time? And I was like, how about it? It flows with the theme, which is every time we do this, it's like that. Sure. So I'm not surprised at all. But before we jump into all that, I do want to just tell everybody out there how loved and grateful I am for all of you. You guys make this all worthwhile and awesome. You are the community. And if you don't know, in locals, rogue.locals.com and on Telegram, we do have community. It's real community, and it's real people who actually care about each other. And we share all kinds of good stuff. So come connect and be there with us. We love you. And also, you know, if you want to find more from me, more than you get 3 times a week at 7 p.m. Mountain on Rogueways and on Rockfin. Also with Middle Path, you can also go to the site rogueways.org. You can get all kinds of stuff. I do tarot, I do spiritual healing and upliftment, blessings, orgone, blessed crystal and stone jewelry, and honestly, I forget almost sometimes like how much more you can find there. So go check it out. There's a lot. I do consultations, and I really am enjoying how much people are enjoying my newest book, All Endings Are Beginnings. It is an awesome bibliomantic sort of God shot oracle, and people are sharing the coolest stories about that. I use it that way. Other people are using it that way. You know, you can ask it anything or about anything, and the answers you get are profoundly exactly directed at you. And it makes sense because it is a channeled book and it was meant for that purpose. So of course it's going to work in that way. So go grab it if you want from Amazon, or you can get it directly from me, in which you get a nice little inscription that is also channeled directly for you from your source messaging. And that goes out to you and supports me a little bit more directly, but both are perfectly good ways to do it. And you know, I recently was told that people are buying and gifting these books to each other, and that made me even happier. Whenever people buy like a tarot reading for someone else as a gift, or any of the things I do for someone as a gift, it just carries like such a more beautiful energy, and I just always love it. So it was really, really cool. So I'm just so grateful for all of you guys, and thank you for all of your support in every way. And Emily, pointless question of the episode for you is, where do you feel most connected? Like, where in the world or in what sort of environment do you feel most connected to the deepest aspects of your soul? It's not a very pointless question, as
that is not. You never really do.
Just dive in.
Where do I feel most connected?
And honestly, it's every time I ask a most question or like a best or a favorite question, I always kind of regret it, because I'm like, I know for me, it's like my best and favorite in that moment, but it could change like the next day. So don't feel too pressured by that word.
Well, I mean, my initial instinct is to stay with my family.
Yeah.
and my family that's here in the house now, but also my family of origin, and even my cousins. We had some family stress and illness and stuff happen. Well, actually, quite a bit on my family's side this last year, and so we've kind of. It sounds weird to say we've reconnected over that, but it's really true that, you know, you get somebody who's having a genetic kidney failure kind of situation, and all of a sudden everybody's like, okay, we should be talking more.
Yeah.
So I want to say that's the time I feel mostly connected. I have a handful of friends, not a ton. And there's some of that with some of my oldest friends too. Friday was my oldest friend that I am still in contact with. It was her birthday.
Cool.
And, you know, so we're chatting a little bit, and anyway, so that's, but as far as old friends, like, she really is, I mean, we've been friends since 8th grade.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the oldest I go back as far as friendships right now. And so there's a sense of connection and like almost wonder at, we've had chunks of time where we don't connect at all, and then, you know, how you kind of come back and it's like no time passed.
Yes.
So and that's how it was when we were sort of reconnecting with my cousins and everything too. It didn't really matter. It's just like, you have a heart in you, and you just, anyway.
Yeah.
So those are connection things for me.
I love that. And it's really true. Our connection with one another and with other people is always good, especially if you have those connections that are older, you know, and they've watched you like change over time and grow into yourself over time, but not really change at all over time. Those are really valuable connections, and it really can remind you and keep you rooted, you know, where you came from and who you really are. And I love that. That's just so valuable. And it is always sad. You're always like, why do we only get together like weddings and funerals, or like hardships, or you know, but it's like life is like that. And if you can't let people just kind of go their own way and then reconnect when you can, like, it wouldn't work out very well. That's the only way we can really do this thing.
And it has been like probably 15, 16, 17 years since the last family wedding that we've all gotten together for. So it's a little more erring on the other side of that.
Yeah, it's like heavy on one and then heavy on the other.
Yeah, so we could stand a few weddings.
And hey, there's another aspect of time.
Great.
Yeah. Well, it's always excellent to have you back, Emily, on Rogueways or Middle Path, and you've done both, and so that's really exciting too. But I know there's always the potential that people out there who are either watching with us live or listening might not understand quite what you're doing or what it's all about. So I love for you to remind just, you know, what you do and maybe why or how or whatever you want to share with us that will help people understand more.
Okay, so I'll do kind of a little brief spiel. So when I was a kid, well, that's probably going farther back than I need to, but I always felt things immensely, and things like grief and just like the sadness sticks out a lot, is that kind of stuff. My dad used to always call me a griever because I would grieve, okay, you know, throwing something away. Like, it was just, everything was like this big heavy thing for me. So anyway, it took many, many years before I was able to recognize that all the feelings that I was feeling were not all mine. So that, I think, speaks to the empath part of me. And being an empath is a little bit different for everybody, but for me, I sort of almost like I surrogate people naturally and without trying or realizing that I'm doing it or anything like that. So when I first started doing any of this kind of work, one of the first things I had to really start doing was identifying who I was. So I was using muscle testing And I kept getting like goofy answers and stuff. And then I would finally, and by goofy answers, I mean inconsistent. Like I'd get a yes 1 second and a no another second in the same question, or ask for clarity and then it'd be different. I was like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, so what I finally came to realize was that I was not myself. So I started having to ask, who am I? Which helped me dig into, okay, well, if I'm my grandmother, then what is it that I'm feeling that is connecting to her and that is sort of giving us access to each other in that way? And that's the same goes for the person at the grocery store or the friend I was just talking to or my kid's teacher or whoever I seem to be jumping into at any given moment. So I think that is the real key to how I'm able to do the work that I do, is that I'm sort of naturally being a surrogate for people all the time. So what I eventually began to be able to do was to figure out how to let things go for myself, but also then for other people as I was being other people. So that is sort of, I guess, gives you a sense of how it works, what I'm doing. So it's essentially that I'm getting into your shoes and I'm feeling your feelings. So I work primarily with emotions. So I clear emotions and then I clear the thought pattern that is associated with that emotion. So if we're angry, we could be angry about a million things. So we can't sort of feel that and identify that as well if we just are going, okay, we're clearing anger. But if we're clearing angry at my father for something specific, then we know, okay, I can get into that and I can feel in that moment what that felt like. And now I can let that go because I've acknowledged, yeah, I was angry at my dad about that one thing. So I guess that's kind of my nutshelling. I don't know. It wasn't very nutshelly, maybe, but
No, it was. It was perfect. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, because we got a little dose of where it came from, what it's like, and how it kind of works and why.
Nutshell.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah. So when I do this work, I work topically. So today our topic is time, which is coming up because, well, I had several things this week that when I started to look for the theme in them, and everything always ends up coming in themes. When I started looking at the theme in them, time seemed to be the big thing. And for me personally, my tie into this was that on Thursday, I had all 3 kids at school again. And that was the first, I mean, I tried to remember the last time I had that length of time alone in my house.
The last time you breathed.
And yeah, so it was a really, really long time ago.
What is
and
this?
Beyond that, instead of just being like, this is wonderful, I'm going to have a spa day and take a bath and read a book, I got kind of panicky about not wasting my time. So I thought that was interesting, because the flip side of that then is that I feel guilty when I do things like read a book because there's a stack of laundry, or there's, this clutter pile over here that I should be going through, or whatever other thing I should be doing. So the last time my kids went to school, and let's see, so it was like last October was when they first went back. And I was like, oh, this is great. I spent the whole first week cleaning my house, and I got everything like cleaner than it had been probably since we moved in, because it hasn't been that long. And then they were only home, or they were only in school for 7 days before they were home again for weeks on end. And I felt so much I had wasted that time cleaning my house because I should have read a damn book or taken a bath. So anyway, so I found that I was having that, and I was like, this boils down to more of the time stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Was it yesterday? God. I think it was yesterday. I was having a huge flare up, which has been a problem for me recently. And if anyone's following my autoimmune journey, I just published a piece on it on the site, so you can read all about it. Everything's really opened up, and I've really understood my entire timeline and how it matters right now and how it matters into the future. And so there's a time aspect to this too, but another time aspect to it is that yesterday while I was having this flare up, I was angry because I had all these things I wanted to have had time for. Yesterday was my one day off, and and it was a beautifully perfect day. You know, I get way too hot really easily, and it was only 70, and I could have been outside all day, and all these things I lost because my time that I had was like taken up by this illness, and I was angry, and I had to like stop and just consciously be like, no, it's okay to just take time to rest and heal. It's okay. Actually, it's really good for you. Like, calm down and just rest. And it ended up being actually a really nice day in a way, aside from feeling awful and recovering from the flare up. It was a good use of my time actually to rest and take that in, and really. So it's just interesting how that has tied in with time for me recently. But also, we've had some guests on and some things that just keep coming up about time travel, and that's something that I talk about a lot too, because and you do this. This is basically what you do is time travel. Yeah. We're not physically going somewhere, but our consciousness is, and that's maybe even more powerful and effective. So right. I think that's intimately tied in with all of what you do.
Well, and just as a fun fact, I have as far back as I can remember, loved time travel. So I seek out time travel books, and I love movies that are like Back to the Future is one of my favorite all-time movies. And it's just fun for me, the whole concept of it. And it's goofy. My oldest son does not like time travel stories. They freak him out. And it's hard for me because I'm like, there are all these books and these things that I want to share with you, and you're like freaked out by it. But that has always been, as far back as I can remember, a thing I've been drawn to.
Yeah.
And I have made the same connection that is what I'm doing.
That's what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, and I told this story earlier today on the meditation I did. If anyone wants to go check it out, about like some really intense meditations I was doing last night, and how they affected my entire timeline as well. And we can all do this work really if we want to, like we can sink into it and get deep and seek these sorts of things out. Or we can let Emily, who is just expert at this, do some of it for us. And I'm sure that's part of what we're going to do tonight. Is that where you want to go, is having people volunteer, or is there somewhere else you wanted to start?
I would like to do that, yes.
Okay.
And there are a couple things that I just want to share, like topics and things that came to mind today.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking we're going to hit on this stuff, but I feel like I should share ahead that this is kind of the stuff I was thinking about. So we already talked about wasting time. You kind of brought up lost time. So that was another one. Not enough time, because obviously.
That's just life.
Yes, right. I'm adding timeline and time travel, so maybe we'll see if any of that comes up, because those are good ones. And then the other one is spending time, which, like, I don't know, 2 times ago maybe, when we talked about money, I kept having this nagging feeling that, time is money, and that this was going to come together.
Yeah.
So these are just sort of things we can keep in mind as we dive in.
It's really interesting too how that might tie in with self-care and sort of what we're talking about is like, oh, I wasted that time, and it's like, no, you gave yourself that time. Like, like I could have been doing productive things. Like, how is that not productive to spend it on yourself? We have this weird thing, which we've talked about too on previous episodes with money, how we have that built into us almost, where we're like, look down on money, or think we don't deserve it, or think we shouldn't get it, or something like we have all these weird messages about it. So how that connects with spending time on ourselves and whether we deserve it and all of that, it's very, very interesting how that connects.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that ties in.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's where we are. So if we, I don't know, did we do enough of a preface for people to start volunteering already?
Yes,
Or
actually,
yeah, okay.
we've got a lot of people. Yeah, so
Oh gosh, all right.
yeah, but if anyone out there
Here
didn't,
goes.
because I also suggested it earlier if people wanted to volunteer to
Oh,
start doing
okay.
it while we were talking. But if anyone didn't hear that or doesn't, volunteer, and it will never hurt, it will only help. So yes, but what should I list names and you tell me who we start with, or?
Yes, but hold on just a second, because
Okay.
my computer just told me my internet connection is unstable, which means I have to tell my kids to probably get off their games.
Ah.
They're
free up
not gonna like that, but
free up the bandwidth. They're like, what are we gonna do with this time? Had to tie it back together. I love Jasmine is saying the meditation earlier gave her chills and she feels so much energy from this blue moon. I didn't even realize it was a blue moon. Thank you, Jasmine. But yes, that meditation earlier today can be done by anyone, anywhere, anytime. So if you guys feel like you're needing to connect, and it was really about actually, I'll just mention, since we're talking about time, it was really about going back in our own timeline to remove negative messages, which is exactly what Emily does.
for
and
sure.
to do that with ourselves, really, and then also to visualize the future and allow it to unfold more deeply, because those messages were out of the way of what we're calling towards us and creating in our own future. And so if that sounds like your gig, go check it out. It's on YouTube and Rockfin. Maybe on locals too. I don't remember if I got it up there in time. It's been a very busy day, but yeah. So how do you want to start?
Ready. Let's do it. So go ahead and okay, so a word about this too. So everything I do, I work with highest priority. So that is why when I'm going to have Lindsay read off some names, that's how I'm choosing. So I'll muscle test to see where we go first. Because what I find is that things unravel just that much easier if we do it that way than if we're trying to sort of pull from the wrong direction. So
yes, and we've seen how it comes
ready
together in this great ball of interconnectedness, which is always
awesome.
All right, so we've got Regan,
Okay.
Rebecca Ann. I'm gonna just say Cosmic Mirrors.
Actually, I think we can start with Rebecca Ann.
Okay.
Okay, and we need to start 4 generations back on Dad's side. Okay. We have sadness. Because I've lost so much. Oh, I'm not going to write. I always forget. It's a habit to write as I'm doing this because it kind of helps me keep track, but it takes too much time. So, betrayal. Okay, being betrayed by the unfairness of this level of loss. Anger. That it feels like I've lost so much more than anyone else. Blaming myself, for caring about the loss of all the little things as much as all the big things. That makes me think of like when I was saying it was hard for me to even throw something away, and losses are so many different things. Okay, I think that's all there, but we need to do something on Mom's side too. 3 generations back on Mom's side. low self-esteem. Because it's so easy for me to get lost in my grief. Anger. Oh, it's actually time. Okay, so anger, that the time I've spent grieving is more than the time I've spent doing anything else. Okay. I think that's all. Okay. I hope it's helpful to get rid of those patterns.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rebecca.
It's really, this is a thing that came up in my meditation last night when these past messages were being like removed and updated and cleared sort of from me, is that I couldn't tell at the time like what that's going to do. But when it was done, I saw my future unfold and I was like, oh, wow. Like the differences in it are profound when some of these remove. And because I could see it directly in my visions and my meditations, I could understand. But I think otherwise, well, how could you understand? Like, what changed now for you in the future because this past messages were cleared and healed? You know, it's you can't measure it.
It's like it's a little like blank slating yourself, because there's always, I feel like there's always something else back there that we're still going to keep working on.
Yeah.
Never quite feels like we're finished. But some of the biggest stuff, when that's running through our heads in this subconscious feedback loop of negative thoughts and everything, and it's just creating all the same, and we're just sitting here feeling all the loss and grief over and over again over every little thing, it just, to wipe that clean and have that particular thought no longer creating more for you is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And sometimes they seem like they're really little, and then you start to sort of put together the layers that come from whatever that was about, I get lost in my grief. It's like that one is just, it's not even a long statement. It's just, but that's big.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And even as little as like when someone today said a certain thing to me, and my general pattern is usually to be like, oh, they did that because they're mad and they're trying to make me feel da-da-da or something. And then, no, erase that. Like, the real truth is they were just being honest and this, and it just meant that or whatever. These are the examples of that, right? Like, if you have this message in your head, you're going to misperceive things, miss opportunities, or make choices that aren't based on reality.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not saying I'm cleared of like all of that. I got a little boost, and people are getting a little boost from you.
Neither am I.
Yeah.
Neither am I. There's still more coming up for me. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Well, should we read the list again, or
let's find our next volunteer?
I'll keep going instead of going back, and we'll see where we go. Cosmic Mirrors, Lindsay Smith, different Lindsay Smith, Jasmine Alyssa.
Jasmine.
Okay.
Right. Oh, going back with Jasmine too. Okay, just 2 generations back on Dad's side. Just 2, that's all. Anger. Oh, digging in, that I've spent more time feeling lost than feeling found. Sorrow. Man, I almost feel like we could have made grief our topic today. Okay, so sorrow is often comes up as deep grief, but this one is more like an I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I've let go of things I should have held on to. Sadness. That the emptiness I now have to hold is overwhelming. Hang on just a sec. That one's got like, I'm gonna do that hand thing I do.
Okay.
And just try to release. There's a block here. I feel it at my heart, actually almost like just above my heart, high heart space. Should we keep going? We can keep going, so I can keep talking while my hands just kind of unwind a little bit. Okay, we need to do mom's side here too. So Jasmine, let's go 4 generations back on mom's side. Sadness. Okay, this is about emptiness too. So sadness at the emptiness that I'm caught between is weighing me down. Okay, it's moving up. That's the thing I always hope won't actually happen while I'm on with you is
I did this the other day.
Cough sometimes when this happens.
With a client too, and it was like sound energy, but their throat chakra was releasing, and I was like coughing, and I'm like, this is not helping you relax. I'm so sorry.
It happens from time to time. But yeah, like I can feel it. It's moving up and out here. So love unreceived. So flipping the emptiness to fullness now, so that my fullness is unwanted is what that's about. There's a real broken-hearted feeling to this, actually, which probably explains why it's coming up at the heart. Sadness. Oh, that just let go. Okay, good. Okay, sadness that my love is lost. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting there's no more there, but there's still something there for Jasmine. Let me see if I can figure out what that is. 1 second. Oh, I think we need to do Jasmine herself now. Okay, so we did the ancestral stuff. Let's time travel forward to the present time.
Well, and she just had a coughing attack right when you were.
Oh, did she really? It was strong there. Yeah. Okay, anger. That my loneliness feels so heavy on my soul. Hold on, it keeps going. My loneliness feels so heavy on my soul that it makes it feel hard to get up. This is a really vulnerable one, Jasmine. Just acknowledging that. Hatred. Of how often I wish I could go back in time. Anger. That nothing can change the past. Bitterness. Over the depth of this anguish. Okay, it feels lighter to me. I hope it feels lighter to you too, Jasmine. I think we're done there.
I felt it.
Okay.
I'm happy for Jasmine. All right. We've got Sarah Nupp, I want to say. K-N-U-P-P. Johnny 22. Regan. Cosmic Mirrors.
Cosmic Mirrors. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, we're still present here for this one. So let's see. Anger. That everything coming my way is less than what I want. Okay. Peeved. So this is feeling irritated. That I don't have more to hold on to. I keep thinking emptiness again. We're like cycling back around from the emptiness from before.
Yeah.
Nervousness. That no matter how hard I keep pushing, my cup is never full. Okay, so more for Cosmic Mirrors. Do we need to? I think that's all for Cosmic Mirrors today.
Yay.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've got Lindsay Smith.
Oh, Lindsay Smith. This is Lindsay with an A, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anxiety. Again, here, boy, we're all here today. This one, some anxiety shows up as fearfulness, but also as anticipation. So this one is an anticipation side of it. Oh, okay. So anticipation of what's coming next. But but it doesn't feel like we're waiting for a good thing. Hatred. So it's hatred of knowing that I can't trust what's coming next. Okay. Lost. My sense of comfort in the future. Okay. I think that's all for Lindsay with an A today. Thank you, Lindsay.
Love it. Thank you. So we have Sarah Nupp, Johnny 22, Eric, and Regan.
Oh, Regan's turn.
Regan's turn.
Resentment. Okay, so it's again of the future. So a resentment of a future that I can't predict. Okay, I'm going to just write this down real quick because we've now got trusting the future and predicting the future. Okay, sorry. Patterns. Emerging. Hatred. Of not being able to trust myself with my future. Lost. Okay, so this one, instead of like losing the sense of something, this one is more like that feeling of loss where you just don't know. So I don't know where I'm expected to be next. Here it goes again. Sadness. That I'm lost without a better sense of what comes next. Okay, we need to let's see more. Okay, 2 generations back. Okay, we're just going to do 2 generations back from Regan, so we're not even splitting mom or dad, so there must be some parallel in that generation. So okay. Crying, feeling hopeless. So we've probably talked about this before, but crying shows up as sort of a feeling of helplessness or hopelessness, or sometimes this petulance when we're not getting our way. This one is a sense of hopelessness. It's that the world is an unfriendly place. And sadness. That I have no hope for the future. Yeah, that's a sadness again. That the future is leading me somewhere unfamiliar. Okay, we're going to skip up one generation back. Blaming myself for refusing to believe that there is anything better out there for me. Okay, sadness. Okay, that the end is coming closer all the time. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a distinct feeling that time correlates with grief like nothing else.
Yeah, like what you lost and can't get back, and what feels inevitably coming towards you that you can't change.
Oh my gosh. Like almost everything feels like it's just tinged with grief. We might have to work on grief before we're done. Any more for Regan? I think that is all for Regan. Thanks, Regan.
Thanks, Regan. I know it feels vulnerable to some people to do this, and I know like that, but we're all here together, and everybody knows how it is and how it's good to heal, and especially together. I think it's more powerful to do it that way too. Because I feel like we're all connected in intention and presence here, and that just like boosts the vibe. So I'm glad.
Well, and we've talked about that a little bit before too, because even if people are not here right now and are listening to this later, there's this sense of, if you're finding this group and you're finding this particular session, we'll call it, I guess, there's something here that's going to resonate for you. And these people who are listening, who are not Jasmine or Regan or Lindsay or whoever else is participating today, are going to be feeling some of this stuff resonating for them too. And I have no doubt that that is happening. Absolutely. And will continue to happen to people who listen to this later. So
yeah, it's timeless.
Yes. Ooh, timeless. I'll add that to the list.
Nice. So we've got Sarah Nutt.
And thank you all for being vulnerable.
Yes, thank you.
That's
how we heal. That's our superpower.
That's it.
Sarah Nutt, Johnny.
Yes. Oh, we can do Sarah.
Okay.
Oh, is it Sarah with an A or an H?
It's S-A-R-A.
Okay. It's always different in my head. I like to know. I graduated from high school with something like 47 kids. It was a very small high school. And we had 7 Sarahs.
Wow.
So it was like just tremendous. And there were the different spellings and everything, but there were a lot of Sarahs in my year.
That was like Lindsay's in my year. But I was the only real Lindsay, and everybody knew it. Obviously. That's just the asshole in me coming out.
Okay, sadness. Boy. Oh, that I used to think my future was bright. Speaking of high school. Sorrow. Okay, that one's the deep grief side of it. Okay, that the future brings only I think it's pressure and no excitement. Yes, okay. And now we need to go, let's see. Three generations back on Sarah's dad's side. Blaming. Again, myself. So I'm blaming myself. For anticipating more struggle in the future. Discouragement. Feeling discouraged. By the weight of the past. As I doubt my future. Okay. I think that might be, I think that's all for Sarah.
Very good job, Sarah and Ancestors and Emily. It's funny, the used to think my future was bright thing. I actually, in high school, was like my least hopeful time. I was like, well, the whole world's gonna burn and die and poison and humans suck and like, and then like the further I went, the more I healed myself and the world didn't die in those ways. And I was like, wait a second, maybe the world is actually kind of cool. Maybe the future is kind of hopeful. And each year and each decade, it gets like better and better. So I have more bright hope for the future than I ever did before.
It's funny. I feel kind of the same way. And by the time I was a senior, things felt pretty heavy because I was more or less feeling everyone in my class without really knowing it.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a heavy time for me as well. But I think our class picked the future is so bright, we got to wear shades as our like motto.
Yeah.
So that was kind of where I went. Yeah, it was the 90s.
Well, and I don't know about you guys, but we were like programmed. They were like, well, you guys are the savior of humanity or else everyone's going to die. Since we were young, we were like little tiny intermediate school kids and they were training us
my
in this. And I'm like, no pressure or anything. Like, what?
Yeah, for real. Oh, I think they're still doing that to the kids.
For sure.
And that smacks severely of climate change. Like we need the kids to save us from that.
Yeah, that and the social like ills of the world. Yeah, it's way too much pressure and it's also very group thinky.
It is, yes, for sure. Let's get all those 10-year-olds working on solving the climate change
and they
crisis.
had like songs and stuff, so it even was like in our head that we're like singing this for ourselves. I'm like, wow. They had good intentions, but the path to hell and whatnot.
And whatnot.
Sarah says thank you, and she asks, are those emotions passed down through generations? Yeah, that's the whole goal, right? Is to remove these messages that we've received, you know, whether you think about it materially in our DNA or just in our energetic sort of body that gets birthed with us. Right?
Yep. And then actually I kind of started thinking about this as we were doing Sarah, because Sarah, I think, was the first time we went back to the past without doing both sides, without having to do a mom and a dad. So I started thinking about that a little bit because people like to say, you know, opposites attract and everything, right? And that's on the surface, maybe that's true. But ultimately, through the law of attraction, we are finding people basically with the same issues. So, like both my mom and my husband's mom are adult children of alcoholics. So, I mean, that's just like kind of a super simple kind of way of looking at that. But, you know, they've both gone their own way and recovered in their own way and all that kind of stuff. And it was my mom's dad and his mom's mom, but all that energy is like all still kind of the same. So that is generally the reason when we go back and have to do mom's side, dad's side, it's because there are parallels happening on all that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me for sure.
Yeah.
Even if you're experiencing it from different angles, like we both have this
Mm-hmm.
central issue. I play
For
this
sure.
role in it, you play that role in it, but like it's the same.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Your vibe attracts your tribe, man. It's true.
True.
And that's why it's also true, like they say, like you have to love yourself fully before someone else can. Like that's true too, you know, and it's for similar reasons. Like if you're like half I love me but half I hate me, then the people who you enjoy are going to be people who half love you and half hate you. Like this is how it goes.
You know what else about that too is this also can speak to how as we heal, people tend to fall away.
Yeah.
So, and that's a thing that a lot of people do encounter that do this kind of work. So, we're like, we just don't, instead of that attraction that we had, it'll flip to a repulsion, and things just don't line up with that person so well anymore. And that's unfortunately kind of happened to me a lot of times. And it's happened to a lot of people that I know. Sometimes you kind of come back around again, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is unfortunate and sad at the time, but it's really better for everybody, you know, because you're going to continue to heal, and you can't.
Right.
You know, it's like if you try to interact with people like where you were at, like you're now changing yourself, hiding yourself, like not being authentic, and it's not going to work.
Yep.
And you want the people who are encouraging you and going along with you rather than holding you back.
Yep.
All right, so we've got Johnny 22 and
we can go ahead with Johnny 22.
All right.
On 8/22.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know, it's a powerful day.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we get to do a past life here. Okay, we haven't talked about that today. So in the same way that our ancestral, let's go back to the metaphor of the recording that's running through our subconscious. So in the same way that our ancestors can leave this recording for us that just kind of keeps playing, so can past life experiences, so can trans-dimensional experiences, and any sort of wide variety of things I haven't come across yet can leave those imprints that we keep playing over and over. So that's the reason, again, for doing any of this, is we're trying to change those recordings so that they don't keep repeating. So anyway, so when I do, I have a method for doing past lives, and this is it. Sometimes I don't even have to do it this way. Sometimes just the stuff we're clearing through, you can feel that it's past life related. But this one, we're going to go ahead and like directly target the past life.
Cool.
Okay, so we're 682.
Way back.
AD. So not as bad as it could have been. Let's see. All right, we need to find two people here. So we've got Johnny and one of Johnny's children. I'm gonna take a stab at that. it feels daughter to me. But I don't know. For all I know, Johnny has no children, but we're just going to go with it. So let's see. So we've got Johnny. It's a woman. Pretty young, so age 18. So usually when I do this part, this is kind of just for context. It helps us decide, not decide, but understand sort of what the relationship is. It makes a difference if you're 40 in 682 or if you're 18 or if you're 7, you know, and in 682, 40 is like you're an elder. So that tells us different context for all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of why I figured that out. Also, the other reason is, and we haven't done this today with anyone either, is that we're kind of looking for the roots on everything here. So if the root is at a specific age, then we need to be pulling it from that age. So sometimes, and this is the part we haven't done today, is sometimes we could have had Johnny, and instead of doing a past life for Johnny, we could have needed to look at Johnny at age 11 and clear stuff out of whatever might have happened at age 11. So anyway, that's why I do ages. Okay, so this daughter have as a boy, age 9. Okay, and I believe these are siblings. They were siblings in the past. Okay, so then what I do is I clear emotions for both of them. Now, if we had 4 people involved in this past life that we needed to find, we would start by clearing the emotions that they all have in common. And the reason for that is because that's the piece that binds us together, is what we have in common. And that's all going back to that same law of attraction and all that same kind of stuff, is that the piece that gets stuck is the piece that we all have in common. And once that starts to fall away, then we can clear away each little individual person that's been involved and get that kind of fully cleared away. Right, so we're gonna do both of them first. Okay, so crying is also feeling hopeless. Okay, that we could recover from this devastating loss. Staying in theme. Anxiety, this is still for both of them too. Fearful that there will be no end to what can be taken from me. This feels like the loss of a mother to me. Okay. We're going to start with the daughter. Gosh, I hope Johnny has a daughter. Anger. That I can't trust the future to take care of me. Anger. Because I have no strength to draw from without you. Okay, and then we can move to Johnny. Okay, anxiety. Something about the end game. Anticipation of what the end game will bring. Abandonment. Feeling given up on because I can't control what can be taken from me. Okay, that is everything for the past life. And let's jump to current, and we'll clear Johnny, actually, and his daughter. Currently. So Johnny first, anger. Oh, I skipped right over anger, so we didn't even need to know. I got blaming also. Okay, and we're back around to anger. We need to know this one. Okay. That the source of my grief won't stop pulling me down. Love unreceived. Okay, it's like no matter how much love I put into making things work, there is no resolution that is satisfying enough to make me feel whole. Boy, we are a vulnerable group tonight. Okay, I think that's all for Johnny, though. So we'll take a look at his daughter. Sadness. Oh, that my isolation has been complete. Blaming. Everyone for leaving me alone. Okay. I believe that is all. I think we're clear here.
So I'm not sure what's going on, but Johnny says no daughter, but my father lost a mother at 18. But I was thinking, is it possible you would have had a daughter who's 18? Because especially after you were saying what you said, I'm like, that could be an aborted or stillborn lost child who would be 18 now, perhaps, or something like that. Because I know that came up for me in a recent healing too. Something very similar.
I have worked with that before too. Yes.
So I don't know, but I asked, and other people had the same thought. So I wonder if there's something like that going on.
You know, honestly, it could even be something he didn't know about.
That's true.
I mean, like there's so many spontaneous abortions that we don't know about, miscarriages and all that.
Right. Or people we casually connect with and never talk to again.
That could happen too.
Just saying, I'm not trying to blame Johnny for anything or make, no judgment.
Right. Need to look at. He said his dad lost a mom young.
Dad lost his mom when he was 18. So his grandmother died when his dad was 18.
not getting, we need to go there. I think that was part of the pattern though. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on either and why we were getting daughter vibes and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes we just take it as it is.
Absolutely. I'm like, I did a whole entire anyway. I did a whole entire healing on someone, and then I realized that the entire thing was because sometimes in it, like you said, like a past life will come
Yeah.
up, and then we'll do work with that, and then and I do very different work from you, but the same work from you.
Right.
Yeah. But so. But I did the entire healing was just on that past life. So every single thing I hit on was like not in that person's conscious lived experience. It was really interesting. It had never happened quite like that, and so things get weird sometimes.
They do.
It can be,
They do. And that's why I was like, I hope he has a daughter.
yeah,
'Cause that would make this make a lot more sense. But
so we have
anyway.
one more person.
Okay.
It is Eric.
Eric. Okay. All right, Eric, where are we going here? Okay, we're just going emotions for now. So we've got blaming. Oh, the end of time. Blaming the end of time. For coming too quickly. Abandonment. Giving up. Giving up on knowing what giving up on knowing what to make. We're getting one word at a time. Of the way my past has unraveled into my future. Okay, betrayal. So feeling betrayed by my inability to move forward. Work with the phrase moving forward a lot. That is what we're trying to do here. Okay, we need to look 3 generations back for Eric. Dad's side. Anxiety. Anticipation. Of when I will have to be able to make sense of what I'm doing. Yeah. There's a little bit of profundity in that. Anger. That the future is coming faster than I am ready for. Okay, we have to do mom's side. I think we're still 3 generations back. Okay. Anger. That the emptiness of my quest for forgiveness keeps holding me back. Humiliation. So feeling ashamed. Because I can't let myself move forward until I'm forgiven. Okay, we're just going to keep going. Anger. That nothing that nothing makes me feel free enough to take the next steps in my life. Okay, we have to go current again for Eric. Anger. That I've never stopped struggling I think it's just to move. I was looking at take those next steps and move forward. I think it's just to move. Anger. That everything seems to get in my way. There goes my throat again too. Hatred. Of how often I seem to come up against roadblocks. Stubbornness. Okay. Stubbornness is usually a stubborn refusal of something. And that is the direction we're going now too. Okay, stubborn refusal to let go of the belief. Aha, yay. Okay, let's get rid of beliefs. Stubborn refusal to let go of the belief that I am being blocked from my future by unseen forces that are against me. I like that one. That's a good one. I feel like we could probably all relate to that. Yeah. Okay, any more? I think that's all. Okay. Did you say Eric was our last one?
That was our last volunteer, yeah.
Last volunteer. Okay, let's see. Let me see if there's anything. Okay, can we do something fun?
Yeah.
Okay. Your book is called All Endings Are Beginnings?
Yes.
Can we do that as a topic?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I feel like it fits right in.
Well, and I've twice I've looked at the time, and once it was 8:08 here, and the other time it was 8:18 here, and I was like 8, like infinity.
Okay. All right, let's do All Endings Are Beginnings, because I feel like that might wrap us up real nicely here today.
Yeah.
Okay, so anger. That it's so hard to see the beginning of something new in this ending. Okay, hatred. of the depth of my struggle. Man, that's like our third struggle at least, right? Depth of my struggle to move forward is hampered by the way I keep hastening the end. That's like how we keep watching the clock to get to the end of our day, and that's what that made me think of.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, isn't it 5 o'clock? Isn't it Friday? We're rushing this time, and then we're going, we don't have enough time, and
Yeah.
we're all just like,
Well, I feel that way about the world too. If we're all focused that the world's ending, but we're like also trying to evolve as souls, we're like, well, then why aren't we focusing on it ending? Like, let's keep going, guys.
yeah. Okay, let's see. There is a lot of end of the world talk these days. Okay. Oh, I got panic. Okay, that would be this weight I have going on in my chest right now. That would be that. Okay, the closer I get to the end is farther away from the beginning. Abandonment. Giving up. Okay, so we're giving up on being able to find the hope well, I think it's good in the desolate horizon. Yeah, okay, that would be this looking forward thing. I'll find the hope in the desolate horizon.
It's a heavy one.
Right?
Jeez.
That's what I was thinking too. We just stepped into a very dramatic novel.
Yes.
Okay, anger. That my hope for the future is tangled up in my grief for the past. Okay, and another abandonment. Feeling given up on by the lengths I have to go to feel like I have reached completion. Okay. Abandonment. Okay, so this one is a sense of leaving behind a past that I have loved and being afraid to look forward to something new. I think that is all. Should we do something like hope for the future? So we end on like a positive note here?
Yeah.
Even though in an odd way, our topic might be positive, but then we're still kind of ending on the dregs of it because what we're pulling out is always the icky stuff. So sometimes it feels like everything I do is dark, but you really have to like flip everything because it's all really quite bright if you flip the other part. Like, I mean, it's really good to get rid of the desolation of the horizon.
Yes.
Great to have that go away. So.
Yeah, it's like cleaning like a really dirty room. You're like, it's gross, it's not that fun, but actually it's super fun at the end when you're like, wow, this space is so bright.
Right. There's a little satisfaction in it.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite things is like reclaiming things and making them new and bright and beautiful again.
It's so great. Totally. Let's see. How about I am filled with hope for the future?
All
It's
right.
simple, but it speaks to some of the emptiness we had coming up today. I think it wraps us nicely here.
Yeah, and especially if we don't always feel hopeful about the future, I think it's just more important for us to then sit and work with ourselves and say, okay, I'm going to purposely create a vision in my head of how it could actually be and hope for that, and like put energy into that instead of like dwelling on like how bad it could be. Let's put energy into how good it could be. It could be good. It could be amazing. Who knows? We don't know. We're not there yet.
What's the best that could happen?
Yeah, what's the best that could happen?
Instead of what's the worst that could happen?
And then you also say to yourself that trick, right? You're like, what's the best that could happen? Okay, this is it. And then you could say that or better, right?
Always got to do the or better
Or
piece.
better.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's part of like, you know, we want to think about the future and kind of manifest it and have goals and aims, and especially hopeful ones towards which we're directing ourselves. And we want to heal the past, and like we've been doing tonight, look and see where some of these stem from and clear some of that. But we also want to be like right here and like living. And, you know, that's some of what we've talked about tonight too, of like rushing through and like looking at the clock and hoping to be done. And then you're just wasting time. And, you know, you do want to find a way to be present too. So it's like a balancing act, this time thing.
For sure it is. It is. And to be able to be even like present in your own wasting time, whatever wasting time amounts to for you. Like when I will sometimes get hooked into like, well, I can't read a book, I'm wasting time. Well, but maybe there's something fulfilling about that, and you need to just sort of sit with that and then forgive yourself for that wasted time while you were fulfilling your soul with something else.
Yeah.
So it's all just, you know, a huge part of all this is catching your own, I want to say flawed thinking, right? Because that's what we're listening for in our own head, is when we're sitting here thinking, well, I can't do that, I'm wasting time. Well, that's flawed in our brains.
Yeah.
Like that's not real. That's not the right thing. And it's the same thing with like, oh, well, I'm not worthy, or any of those kinds of things that we get really stuck in and need to sort of stop our own selves and say, well, no, that's the false piece of this. And then the reality is that I am incredibly worthy. I am worthy of all that and better.
And better.
So it's, you know, like you said, a balancing act, but some of it does really start with listening to our own thoughts. And that's a lot of how I started on this. And that's how I was able to get to, okay, well, I keep thinking this, it's associated with this feeling. So we're going to get rid of all of that together as one big thing so that we can start thinking something else.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that to allow space for the new thing to come forward. And I think a big component of all of this too is that trust piece, you know, and a lot of that was coming up today too, like abandonment or, you know, feeling lost or not being sure of the future. But the more we can kind of trust, like our soul knows what it's doing. And if it wants us to read a book, like read the book. You have no idea. There might be like the clue in there that unlocked the thing that you were like, holy shit, my whole life makes sense now. Like that might be why you were called to that.
Much. It happens so much to me too. And even I'll be like, oh, well, I really want to watch this movie right now that I haven't thought of in ages. And then I'll watch it and it totally fits in thematically with everything else.
Trust.
It happens a lot. So it's all whatever. We need to just trust ourselves and let things be a little and stop pushing ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
Which I can say, and then I'll go forward and try that this week.
Yes, easier said than done, but it's good to consider and reflect as often as possible.
Yes, and remind ourselves.
And Emily, people in the chat who are new tonight are very excited. People who are returning are very excited, and I would love to share with them if you want to tell them about where they can find you and how you can connect with them and maybe support or help them further. Or if they are feeling really grateful, where they maybe can donate a little tip for you or any of those types of things.
Okay, so all of that would be on my website. So it's EmilyAtwoodEnergy.com. And there is more about me. There's a handful of, like, I don't know, bloggy kind of little stuff. Not a lot there, but some things there that still give you more window into me. And then there is a donation button on the contact me page, and you can go ahead and contact me through there. Please feel free to contact me if you want to even just comment or talk or whatever about this. That would be great. I love to hear from people. And feedback, as always, you know, keeps the feedback loop going, right? And yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. There's I do sessions during the week usually. I'll make some exceptions here and there, but I have 3 kids, so I try to mostly do this while they're in school. Doesn't always totally work that way, but we get a few less interruptions when when they're in school.
Yeah.
That said, I've done all this work for the past 15 years with interruptions constantly, so
not required.
so I've gotten pretty good at it. Yeah, right. That's also why I write everything down normally, so I can find where I was. But yeah, so that's kind of it.
Yes, and the link is just below. No matter where you are watching or listening, you can click over there now. And Emily, what are your final thoughts or ideas or messages you want to leave people with tonight?
Oh gosh, we covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
Let's just sort of forgive ourselves for all the pressure we put on our time and on ourselves to make the most of our time. And I guess that's kind of what I've mostly been thinking about the last week, is trying to sort of forgive ourselves for all this like wasted time that we're perceiving in our lives. So I guess that's kind of where I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, I love it. Forgive yourself and trust. Well, thank you as always, Emily. It's beautiful work you do, and we're so lucky to have you. And fellow travelers of the path, it is a beautiful thing. And this has been your analog electric concentric dose of wisdom, according to the clearer of ancestral trauma, Emily Atwood. Emily, thank you as always for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
As interconnected points of consciousness all throughout a weebly, wobbly, timey-wimey sort of substance, we pretend to be moving linearly through time, but we're not. We can go back and update a past that is in no way carved in stone or permanent, and we can move forward to drop some insight and healing on our future selves as well. From this vantage point, we move physically linearly, but our consciousness is not physical. It's non-local and expansive, not contained in any way at all. Especially when you believe the future is concrete and immutable, you have lost this precious game we play. The future is nothing if not malleable, and your consciousness shapes it immensely. Create the best future you can by holding that image of how it looks, that feeling of how it feels, firmly in your mind as often as possible, and feel yourself pulling magically and magnetically that way, like there had never been another option. And until you time travel to create the best vision of the highest version of yourself and your life possible, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
Yeah, come on, Rat Kings, baby. It's the rap machine. Yeah, check it. Gray bearded pirate, my motherfucker unknown. Yeah, come on. In the place with my fist up, meaning I resist the bullshit that they feed us and lead us. This is just a part of the process, man. Just watch this, cause this shit's about to get crazy like a mosh pit. We lost it, toss it, let's start it again. Cause now with technology, with smarter men and women, this is the beginning, not the end. If this is the message of hope that I send, look on your TV, it's a culture of death. They'll keep on lying to the very last breath. We keep on striving and spreading the truth. It's hard to survive in this world for the youth. The door is closed, the old world is dead. Let's have an age of understanding instead. I'll include you and you include me. Let's see what we can build with some positivity. Let's go, you're moving too slow. Let me see your hands if you know what I know. Come on.
strapped like mummy, ain't no dummy in my rhyming. Started flowing freestyle and now they rhyming loud silence. On with the violence, bodies piling with the gray bearded pirate. On your TV in 4K 3D virtual reality. Casualty of urban warfare. I know but I'm not scared, just prepared and aware. Shining my light through the tunnel of hope. Into the rope, but I'ma give it one more pull till the family is full. Take the bull by the horns and lead it to the slaughter. That would be harder and you would be softer. Sometimes I'm a monster and you forever imposter, which is champagne and lobster. This royalty, the way it was supposed to be. Hopefully the new door opens and the old one closes with way more focus and growth to mold us, and the truth that they should have told us.
To them screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rulers that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood wands of holly. Suggestions that a flicker rate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The pompous see this mockery and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet. Everyone got a gift, everyone got a light. They want you to forget that ish, cause they can't dim the bright. The positive vibration takes you past the sign shackles. From the sewers and the alleys in the moving castles. Who these assholes really serving with an exposed Achilles surgeon around the corner lurking to prove ascension trumps perversion. Learn them to catch fish and unplug the signal. Show them the simpletons now build the fucking temples.